All right, welcome back, everyone, for another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, impossible to find, really, really tough comic books that you got to do some legwork and get lucky and really do some tracking to come up with them. These aren't books you're just going to go see on the shelf when you go to your LCS every week on a Wednesday. These are some tough books. Like I said, you got to get lucky in finding. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see this week's selection of books, just hang up for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. All right, so as I mentioned last week, this week we are going to be doing a very special episode where I will be looking at some G.I. Joe convention exclusives. These are the Collectors Club books that were only available at like those Joe Cons back in the early to mid 2000s. Some really, really tough comics that I think are kind of fun and interesting thing for you to go out there and try to hunt down. Now, that all said, let's not waste any time and let's just get right into it with our first option here. Man, we are going to do these in order. Even though I'm inspired by the book that Marco had found. If you watched the TAC show last week, you know what G.I. Joe book he found at a convention. That one kind of spawned the idea for this upcoming episodes here that I'm doing right now. So his book is later on in this run, but first up is another book that another one of my buddies is a big fan of, and that is Dom. Dom loves this character, and he's a big fan of this book. This is G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, issue 31. This is the G.I. Joe Collectors Club convention exclusive, with Zartan there on the cover. This was from Devil's Due when G.I. Joe was with Devil's Due Publishing there for a short amount of time. This is a pretty cool Tim Seeley cover from 2004. And like I said, this was from the Joe Con, and we have no idea how many they might have printed of this. I don't have an estimated number that I can share with you. I did some research. I couldn't find a solid number to give you, so I'm not going to try to guess at how many there are out there, but I can tell you in the CGC census, there are not that many. 3, as a matter of fact. 3. A 9.8, a 9.6, and a 9.0. And that is it for this convention edition book, which, again, kind of tells you there's not a ton of them. With that said, it comes up every now and again for sale. Right now, we had a sale just the past 3 months, just the one, for $70, which I personally think is a good price. I'm probably in for about $70 as long as it's a decent copy. I don't want to buy a banged up one for that price, but I might consider it around there. Hoping closer to 50, but I'd think about it at 70. But somebody grabbed that just on February 15th, so just a couple of weeks ago, that sale occurred. Now, if you want to go and look for this book right now and check the market to see what's available, I did happen to find 3 copies of this one. Yes, 3 copies. However, one's asking $400, one's asking $161, and one is asking $76, which seems kind of reasonable given that $70 sale, but it's also got Canadian shipping, and it's only being estimated as a VF 8.0 at best. And see, I don't want to pay that much for a dinged up book that has a couple of spine ticks that can't be pressed out. Like, it's not that I need a 9.8. It's just, I can wait. I can be patient and hope for a better copy personally. But since we do have multiple copies available, then this ghost is not getting away. And if you wanted it, you can go and get it. You just got to pay up for it. So with that said, that's our call here on G.I. Joe 31, the Devil's Due Zartan cover. I don't know why I keep blanking on his name. Zartan. With that said, Just want to remind all of you out there, if you haven't tried Whatnot yet, use my link down below and get yourselves a free $15 on your first purchase. Spend it on whatever you want with whomever you want. No strings attached. You help out the channel. You get yourself something nice. I did have a fun time doing my sale last weekend on last Friday. I plan to do another one soon. I will keep you guys posted when I do. Just want to clear some books, have some fun talking about comics. So if you're into it, come check it out the next time that I'm on. Now, with that said, let's get right into our next book. And our next book is going to be following the sequence of conventions. That was 2004. So let's take a look at what we had for us in 2005 from the G.I. Joe Collectors Club. This was in July, Devil's Due Publishing. This book, this is a Stefano Caselli cover. Like I said, 2005. This was from the '05 G.I. Joe Con, or Joe, I should say Joe Con, as it's referred to. This one had an estimated print run of about 500. So not a big number, and a book that you can probably go and keep an eye out for. Who knows? I mean, 500 is not a tiny number, but at the same time, they're not going to be in every box you go and dig in. So it may take some work, it may take some luck, but they could be out there. You just got to be looking. With that said, this is a number 1 for G.I. Joe America's Elite, a Legend Reborn. We got Scarlet on the front there. Pretty cool cover. I kind of like it. And in the census, we do have a few. Let's see. What do we got in the census for this book? Well, we got 8. It's much better than the last book, which only had 3. This, in fact, has 3 9/8s and 3 9/6s, and then a pair of 9/4s. And that's all 8. Not a ton, but, some in there. With that said, if you want to know the market on this, well, unfortunately, we did not have any sales the last 3 months on this particular book. So I can't tell you what the market's willing to pay. But when doing some digging and looking and searching to see if I could find a copy on the market, well, I did manage to track down one listed. And it's asking $85.50 with 10% off right now. So $85.50 with $6, be just over 90 before you get to taxes, so probably close to $100 if you were to order it on eBay. That said, there is one copy of this book. It is also only listed as a VF copy, so it may not be the cleanest. It's not going to be a 9.8, so it's a decent price for a book that's not in crispy condition, but it still is only one copy. So going by the terms and conditions of our show, that makes this one a ghost. One or none. Remember, there's one or none, we will give it the ghost check mark. So for this one, we will give it that mark. With that said, we're down 2 books. 2004, 2005 Joe Cons. One not a ghost, one that is a ghost. But we are not done yet. I still got 3 more books for you. And coming up next, we are going to go into the next year and the next convention with another number 1 from G.I. Joe. This time, it's Declassified. So this is another Collectors Club book. As you can see that logo right down the bottom. You see that stripe, that familiar stripe at the time? That's what you're looking for one of these convention Collectors Club exclusives. Now, the Collectors Club is generally about the toys, but again, you can see here they did have a few comics as well. With that said, this cover is also done by Tim Seeley. This was 2006. So we did 04, 05. This is 06. It was part of, again, the next JoeCon. Limited to 250 this time out. So half the print run of the last book. So definitely less on the market for that. In the census, we'll take a look and see what we got there. And for this Declassified number 1, we only have 2 copies graded in the census. 2. We have a single 9.8 and a single 9.4, and that's it. Not a lot in there. Not a lot in there. And unfortunately, if you want to see what it sold for, I can't tell you because none sold the last 3 months. So we have no market data to give you. But once again, doing some digging, doing some looking, doing some searching, changing up the search requests, I did manage to find all of 1 copy of this book out there, just like I did the last one. But this one is looking for $153 plus almost $20 shipping out of Canada. So definitely not a cheap book here, but it is only one of 250, and it is a convention club exclusive. Like, this is not something that you see all the time. I mean, you think about that. You had to go to JoeCon and be a Collectors Club member, I think, probably to get one of these things. So not the easiest check marks for you to, check off to actually obtain one of these 20 years ago when this came out. So with that said, One on the market, once again, means we got another one here. But we're not done. Up next, following this Declassified #1, which is kind of a cool cover with that huge cobra wrapped around the earth, wrapped around the globe back there. Before we get into our next book, I also want to remind any of you out there in the market for supplies, you're going to go to BCW to get your bags, your boards, your short boxes, long boxes, top loaders, CGC boxes, those hard plastic, premium boxes, whatever you need to keep your comics and collectibles safe. Save 10% off by using my code RENA10. You can use the link in here too, but definitely use that code RENA10 to save yourself some money. You help out the channel, and you also get yourself a discount on your order. Your entire order, 10% off. Why not give it a shot if you're making an order anyway? So with that, we will get to the next book, and this is the book that spawned the idea to do this little subsection of G.I. Joe books for the show, and that is the book that Marco tracked down. He sent me a picture of it and said, "Do you know what this is?" And I told him I wanted it, but he bought it for himself. What can I do? He found it, not me. So with that said, this is G.I. Joe Special Missions, The Enemy. You can see down below the Collectors Club little stripe and mark. Very similar to the regular edition of this book. The regular edition shows a brick wall with this Cobra Commander as a poster. This is just a full-size cover of that same poster. So therein lies the difference between if it seems familiar, but it's not exactly the one you may be thinking of, because the regular edition of this book, like I said, has a poster on a brick wall. This is from 2007. I'm not even going to attempt to say the artist's name because there's a lot of consonants in there for me to screw up, and I'm not going to even try. This was from 2007, the 25th anniversary of, G.I. Joe, the newer, newer action figures, obviously, not the OG original, 12 inches from way back in the day. But don't know what the print run is on this one either. I tried to do some research. I couldn't find a number. If it held court with the other books, we're looking at 250 to 500. But hey, who knows? We can't even use those numbers because we don't know for sure. But I can tell you, I tried to look this thing up in the census, and I did manage to find 3. But these 3, I believe, are of the regular edition, not the convention edition. I told you the regular edition is very similar with the brick wall. So I don't believe this number counts. It's not very clear. I mean, CGC can be tricky sometimes to search, but this definitely doesn't say that it's the convention exclusive. It just lists it as it would the regular edition of this book. So I got to think these 3 are of the regular edition, which means that there's not even 3 of these in the census. There's none in the census. So if that's the case, this one could be even tougher than the last of the bunch. But with that, how many have sold the last 3 months? Well, as you might have guessed, none. So we got none, unfortunately. But what are you going to do? We can look to see if we can go buy one now then to see what the market's going to ask. I mean, Marco found one, so we got to be able to find one too, right? No, unfortunately, I couldn't find one. I was looking. I was searching. I could not find any comparable for him because he was even asking for a comp at the time when he was debating on purchasing himself. And I had to help ballpark a price with him of what I thought this could be. And he ended up working out a deal anyway. But still, considering none on the market, none sold, yep, this is another one that could be tough. Tough for you to track down, something for you to keep chasing. Now, therein lies 4 books. Does that mean we're done? No, we are not done, because since I found a 5th ghost, this little purple lady right here, we have a 5th book every time I do this show. So we still have one more left for us, and that is also a 2007 convention exclusive, and that's this one right here. This one is not specifically for the Collectors Club, but this is for the 2007 JoeCon exclusive. So this is a sideways cover, featuring, the characters almost like the animated when they pose in front of the, in the flag near the end of the show or whatever. Mike Bair, 2007, part of that convention. Print run on this one, 250. So I was able to find a number on this one, limited to 250. So again, not a lot of copies out there. And it's almost 20 years old now. So factor all those things in, this may not be the easiest thing to find. But this one actually had the most copies, I believe, of our group of books in the census. Granted, the most here is 11, which is still not a very big number, but it's more than the none of our last book and the 8 and the 3s we've had previously. So 2 9/8s, 4 9/6s, we got a 9/4, and we got 4 9/2s, and that's it. You can't even get to a dozen. Can't even get to a dozen. This book did have one sale the past 3 months, and it sold for $200 almost. $199, $6, delivery, etc. Again, limited to 250. There's not a lot out there. And when I went looking for any copies available, I did manage to find one copy, but it looks like it's from the same exact seller that sold the other one for $199. So I don't know if that sale fell through or if they happen to have more than one copy, but it's the same picture, same listing, same price, $199. It's out there. I got to think the other sale probably fell through. But with that said, it's still only one copy. It is the only copy out there. I may not like sideways covers, but I would be happy to buy this sideways book if I stumbled across it, provided I didn't have to pay $200 for it. I don't want to pay $200 for this personally, but that's what we got. And if you want one, that's what you got to pay. So with that, only one out there wants $200. Something to keep chasing. Something to keep chasing because once again, not a lot out there. So you know how we're going to term this one. Those are all 5 of our books. So let's do a quick little recap. A little rundown of all of our books. We had one that had, 3 copies out there. But every one of the other listings I had here for those Joe Con convention exclusives, bang, 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 bang. All of these either had one or none. So that means all 4 of these I feel comfortable calling Ghost this week. So with that all said, until next time, I had a lot of fun doing this, as I always do with this show. I still have more of these G.I. Joe books to come. I might do it again next week, unless you guys want me to switch it up and give you something else the next time out, whether it be next week or the week after. I do have more Joe convention books that are not Joe Con convention, but we have some more fun, tough to find exclusives like that we can go through. So that's what I plan to do at some point in the future, whether it be next week or the week after. But let me know if you want some more Joe books or if you want something else completely different in the comments down below. But with that, I want to thank you for all the support, and I will see you all soon with some more content. All right? Bye.